Howdy folks, welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're going to be making banana nut muffins. Now, I don't know about around your house, but around here, if I buy 1 or 2 bananas, everybody wants a banana. But if I buy a bag of bananas, they'll sit on the countertop and turn brown, and then I've got to find something to do with a bag full of overripe bananas. This recipe is going to take care of 4 or 5 of those really ripe bananas. If they have a few little bruises, that's okay. If the skin's turned brown, that's what you're looking for because they do have to be soft, but you don't want them mushy. Once they get mushy, gotta just throw them away. You're going to need your bananas, 2 cups of flour. I'm adding a half a cup of flaxseed to this. Now that's totally optional. It's just something to add fiber and make it more nutritious. I've got a half a cup of pecans. You can also use walnuts or whatever kind of nut you've got. A cup of sugar, 2 eggs, a stick of butter, a tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of salt. And I want to put a crumb topping on these. Now this is my crumb topping that I made for my blueberry muffins and I had left over. It's just a little flour, a little sugar, and a little butter. And you can look at the blueberry muffin recipe if you want to see exactly how I did that. But to make it go with these muffins, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon and a couple of tablespoons of chopped pecans. And we're going to set this over to the side, and we will sprinkle it on top when we're done with our muffins. I'm going to start just by mashing up these bananas here in my mixer. Once bananas get ripe and the skin starts to turn brown, they have more nutrients than a green banana. So if you can use those ripe bananas, if you're not crazy about that taste of a really ripe banana in a recipe, use them. Find something to put them in. I'm going to add my sugar to my bananas. You could probably reduce the sugar in these a little bit if you wanted to, because the bananas are sweet, but I wouldn't reduce it down too much. This is pretty liquefied now, and you can see it dripping off the beater here. You don't add any milk or anything to this recipe because the bananas give you enough liquid for it. I'm going to add my butter now. And turn my mixer back on. Okay, that's mixed up pretty good. Now, one at a time, I'm going to add my eggs. I'm going to go ahead and add in my cinnamon. And my salt. And my flaxseed. And my baking powder. Now I want to scrape the sides of my bowl because I do have some cinnamon and baking powder and stuff up on the sides, and I want to get that down in the batter and get it mixed in good. Okay, I'm going to add in a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. It's kind of how much you like. Okay, that's all well mixed. So we're going to take this out of the mixer. And we're just going to fold in our flour and our nuts. This is unbleached, plain flour, all-purpose. And in an ideal world, everything that we make would have all natural ingredients, and we would have the option to make the most nutritious choice for our ingredients. But I know this is not an ideal world, and sometimes we have to reach for boxes and mixes and the stuff in the freezer. But when you do bake from scratch, try to get it as healthy as you can and add in little things. Like the flaxseed in these muffins, it actually has a little bit of a nutty taste, so you're not even going to know it's in there. And flaxseed has all kinds of health benefits. It helps level hormones, and it's good for your nervous system. Especially for like diabetics. It has omega-3s in it that help repair damage to the nerves that neuropathy causes. It's good for women because, like I said, it balances your hormones. And this is something where the flaxseed's actually going to improve the taste of the muffins. You could also choose to, instead of using the butter, you could use a coconut oil in this recipe or something like that. But, you know, just play with stuff and learn the substitutions that you can make. Like I said, this is not an ideal world, so we can't always do the absolute healthiest thing. Now, you can grease your muffin pans. I have mine lined with little cups because mine are well seasoned. If you grease them, just put some oil in them or grease them with a little butter or something so that they don't stick. And you want to fill these about halfway full. This should make at least 24 muffins. It's a big recipe. If you want big ones too, you can bake these in the big muffin pans. And that is why my muffin pans look the way they do. If you get too much in them too, which I usually do, you can always go back once you get all your batter out of your bowl and into your muffin cups and take a spoon and even them out a little bit. You do want to preheat your oven to 375 when you're making these, and put them in a preheated oven, and it'll take about 20 minutes to bake them. Okay, you can see that I have way overfilled some of my muffin cups, so I'm just going to get a spoon and even them out. Okay, that looks pretty good. I actually ended up with 22 muffins. And you can tell some of my muffins are going to be a little bit bigger than others because some of them have more of the batter in them. But that's no biggie. I'm just stirring up my crumb topping here a little bit. And you don't use a ton of this. It's just to give it a little texture on the top, and it makes it prettier. Like, I think I've got about 3/4 of a cup, and it'll be plenty to do these. You're just sprinkling a little on the top, a little piece or two of nut, and some of the little crumbles on them. And this is entirely optional. If you're really watching calories and stuff, leave this off. Now we're just going to put these in the oven, 375, for about 20 minutes, and we'll be back to check on them. These actually took about 24 minutes to bake in my oven, and you can check them to see if they're done just by touching the top, and if they bounce, they're done. If they squish, you need to leave them in a little while. You can see all of our crumb topping here on top. It's not, like I said, a whole lot, but the little pecans and stuff that are up on top make them kind of pretty. Now, if you greased your pans, you want to let them cool about 15 minutes or so before you take them out, and let them sit on a rack. But since I use the little cups, I'm just going to pull mine out and go ahead and sit them on the rack. If you cool your baked goods on a rack, it keeps the bottom from getting soggy, and it does make them release from the pan a little bit better when they get cool. You do want to keep in mind, anything that you bake from scratch, not out of a box, that's what I'm talking about by from scratch, it does not have any preservatives in it. So you need to eat these within a couple of days if you keep them in your cabinet or on your countertop. If you put them in the refrigerator, you could probably keep them for about 2 weeks in the refrigerator, because these don't have any whole fruit in them like the blueberry muffins do, and they won't get soggy. But about 2 weeks is tops even in the refrigerator, because there are no preservatives. Now you can freeze these if you want to freeze them and take them out 1 or 2 at a time and eat them. But around here, I suspect about half of them will be gone before they get cool, and the other half will be gone by tomorrow morning. So we appreciate you joining us again in the Hillbilly Kitchen. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.